Welcome back to ParadoxCon 2015. My name is John, also known as Totally Moo, and this time I get to introduce myself with my nickname because I am the community manager for the game that we're just going to show, which is City Skylines. I'm here with Marina. Hi, Kanan.
Thanks, man.
I tried. And Quill18, famous YouTuber and wonderful person that I recently learned to know.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I'm happy you're here, man. And we're going to show City Skylines for the first time for you, Quill.
I'm mega pumped. I'm really excited for this game.
We are too. So just
you better be.
Just a brief piece of information before we start. This game is available for pre-order. We just put it up, so you can find it on Paradox Plaza. You can find it on cityskylines.com, or just go to Steam, and there's a big green button that makes you buy the game. That's a really good thing, so we highly recommend it. Now, City Skylines. We have the trailer city up here, Marina.
Yes.
And you saw the game at Gamescom quite some time ago.
Yeah. A lot of things have changed.
A lot of things have changed. So, Marina, should we just go into the game and kind of see what's going on here in the city? There's a lot of things popping around and saying there are issues happening, and you're free to explore.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this is not my my city. I didn't build it because in my city, you know, things work really well and no like warnings come up like this. No, it's the game is just there's a lot to be simulated. So. What we have is just like following the people around and checking like the general status of this city. So basically we're losing money, so that's not a good thing, but we're still getting some people moving into the city. So that's a positive. So the first thing I'm gonna go and do is check the economy status. So this is something not to be afraid of. It's a big part of the game to kind of think how to balance the budget. What kind of taxation there should be. People are generally seeming really happy, so I'm just gonna increase the taxation a little bit. Just you know, when people are happy, you know, tax the hell out of them. So it's like
abuse them until you get the yellow face. That's kind of mediocrely happy with the situation.
Yeah, but I mean, still, you know, willing to pay taxes. So we're just gonna adjust these a little bit, just to kind of figure out what's going on with the budgets. And
holy. I see a problem.
There's a lot of things at 150%, I see.
Yeah, there's a lot of things at 150%. What's been going on here?
So basically, with the budget, you can increase the efficiency of certain service. So kind of thinking before building maybe new city services, you might want to check the budget first. But what we have here is you want to check that the basic services are working. So for example, water availability, sewage treatment, that seems to be okay. I would increase a little bit the capacity of the sewage system. For the electricity, we actually have a really good situation. So that there's like the one thing that I can immediately check, that this one doesn't have to be as high. I just need to make sure that there's still enough electricity for the city. But
now I have a question about the budget
absolutely,
here.
Yeah.
If you increase the budget by 50%, does it increase the efficiency of the building by 50%, or is there a trade-off?
So basically, it depends a little bit also on the like what are we actually getting with this. So for example, for the power, it actually is this is. I'm just trying to avoid this question because it's like a very programmer thing. So it's like.
But I need the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. I will get to the numbers later. No, it's it depends. For example, for the power. It just increasing the budget. It depends also like how many service buildings you actually have. So kind of, I really don't have a good answer for this. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. It's like we're gonna have to come back to that. But yeah, it just you kind of have to find good balance.
I'm sure some of the ratios might change since it's still pre-release right now.
Yeah, I mean the release is gonna be in a month, so 10th of March. So there's not that much time, but we're still really like looking into the fine details, trying to find the spots where we really kind of can make the game still feel better. Because simulation games, I mean, balancing is the biggest task of developing these games. It is obviously, and there are so many complex systems that kind of fitting those together.
Changing one thing by 1% can break something else completely.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. So it's very challenging, but I think I feel that the game feels nice to play already. So I'm very happy with the situation in at the moment.
We actually had our GM balance patch pretty recently that did a lot of large changes that made gameplay feel a lot more natural compared to older builds. So, but we still have what, a month of polishing ahead of us?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, I got to say, the city looks great. I love the giant interchange that's in the middle. And that's not a prefab. That's not a prefab. That's, you've laid down the roads on your own. Like, you build these interchanges to be exactly with the shape that you're looking for, right?
Yeah, exactly. And with the asset editor, we have really cool modding tools. So with the asset editor, you can actually create these, and then they're saved so that you can use them multiple times.
I'm pretty sure that interchange is on the workshop already right now.
So if you end up with something you like, you can save it, and then you can share it with other people?
Yes.
Yeah, in the editor.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, it's not the other way around. You can't build it in the game and then export it to the editor and then share it with people.
No,
you actually have to build it in the editor, and then you kind of save it as an asset that you can plop down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of a collection of the roads. You can do this also for parks. So you can create your own parks, which I feel is really, really cool. And just like these are the things that make people happy, you know. Well, so having parks in the...
As someone who spends 16 hours a day in front of a computer, I don't really care about nature. Kind of allergic to trees.
Oh, we have options for you.
Yeah, my city is going to be a wasteland.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can always go for the all the power and something that totally pollutes the city. That's fine, I guess. No, it's like going for the very capitalistic approach and not caring too much about the nature or the citizen happiness as well. So.
Because you can make it function in city even though people aren't super happy or even though they have problems, because as long as things grow, you know, you kind of still have this running systems, and as you can see, people are complaining. Yeah,
with the tiniest changes, we started to actually get the income. So it's just kind of tweaking, balancing, finding out like where you can actually optimize, where you can budget. It's a complex system, but I hope very many people will enjoy kind of creating their own city in a way they want. I mean, if you want to make kind of a wasteland thing, with the map editor, for example, you can actually create your own landscape and then start building from that one. And I think that's one of those that I hope people will enjoy a lot, to make kind of start in their own realistic way and then just building the city from that one.
So what kind of ways do you have to raise revenue in the city? Is it all taxation, residential, commercial, industrial?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the main income that you have, and then the expenses are for the city services. So you can see the income and expense. You also can attract tourists to the city, so they will basically use the services, commercial districts, and then those in relation are happier to pay taxes, more taxes to you. So it's kind of a connected system.
So if I wanted to, I could potentially make a city with really low residential taxes, but have a lot of tourism, and then make income through, I guess, commerce?
Yeah, absolutely. So over here you can see this is the income from the, tax income from the commercial zones and the industry. So it is really there's a lot of options how you can build the city. Of course, the city can, I mean, this is relatively big city. So you can have actually different districts so that you can actually create certain rules for each areas. So if we go over here, and we can just easily paint the district, and then decide kind of what rules abide there. So for example, we can go to taxation and just say that, okay, we want to kind of have tax relief or tax raises, depending what you aim for, what you have there. There are city planning related policies as well as service related.
So what you could work on is having a really pretty neighborhood and increase the taxes just there, and then have maybe a slum neighborhood with lower taxes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I gotta say, the ability to define these sort of regions is one of my favorite things that I saw early on. It wasn't even about the rules. I just love the idea of naming my little neighborhoods and giving them a little bit of a personality.
Yeah, absolutely. You can pretty much name anything in the game. Citizens, buildings.
You can name your own people?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You can name your cars even too, I think.
Yeah, you can.
Can you...
You can name animals.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. You can name the pigs in the farms or something.
Yeah.
You can even name the wild ones, which I have a lot of fun with.
Really?
You can find a wild animal, and you give it a silly name, and then you can kind of track it down, because they have so say a cougar, it's called just cougar.
Right.
So you click on everyone, it's like cougar, Carl! And then you're like, I found my animal friend.
Yeah.
I was going to say, after you name a person, can you find them again in the city afterwards, or do you have to remember where they live?
You have to remember where they live. But on the other hand, it does give you. Let's go stalk somebody.
Yes,
like,
please.
This is like.
Because I'm curious to see exactly how people navigate around the city when they're going to work. How do they choose? Do they use their car? Do they use a bus? So on. Can they walk to work?
Yeah, that is a complex system. So just let's go over here to check out. Now we have, for example, here you can see there's actually a dog there as well. Is there? I have a little bit of an issue with this now. Sorry. No, I can't catch.
Maybe it's
Basically.
because you had the policies thing up. I think there's a window in the way.
Oh, true. Thank you. I was wondering, like.
Oh, you're in some sort of region mode right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is a little bit embarrassing. I'm just so like these like live things. I'm always like scared.
You don't have to explain to me. Like when you get focused on talking about something, you don't see something
like,
on screen.
What's going on? No, but here, Brittany Brown, for
Right.
example. So highly educated young adult. So there's been a good situation, obviously, with the education. You can also check that from the info view, like if you want to see how the city is doing on certain aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, back to Brittany. So I mean, we could totally like if
Charles.
Charles.
Yes.
Charles.
Charles
you
Lund.
Oh. Let's see. Charles. Are we happy with Charles?
Charles Maxson.
Maxson?
Yes.
Like this?
Right.
Maxson?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So now we have.
It's your first gender swap person in the city.
Charlie's a great name for a girl, though.
Yeah,
honestly.
No, it is definitely. But you can basically follow them around. So just by
you can
clicking,
pin it, yeah.
and it's like.
So where's
totally
Charles going? I
stalking
can't quite
Charles.
see the screen from here.
Yeah.
Going to work.
So well, yeah. Going to work, yes. So you can go actually check like incineration plant. So you can actually see where
Charles.
Charles works. And where
That's
they
quite
live.
far away from where Charles is right now. So how is he going to get there?
So basically, we could just like follow him around and see. But basically, the transportation methods differ, and it's kind of finding the optimal route for them, which is kind of the. It can be a combination of different things. They can walk. They can use the public transportation. They can also use a car if they need to.
He skipped the bus. So.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought he was going to go to the bus stop.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that it's a relatively complex system, and it tries to optimize it so that everybody gets to go into the right unique places. Because what we have in the game is that as everybody has their own home. I mean, these people actually have age, so they are born in the city. They go through school. If you provide education for them, they will eventually they go to work life and they will eventually die. So it is really just the whole life span of the person.
And everyone's actually simulated inside the game.
Yeah, absolutely. All of these are unique citizens, unique people, and the whole idea here is that you can get up to like 1 million citizens. It's a really difficult task to do. In my cities, I've only gone into like a couple of hundreds of thousands. So, but it is important part to us that there are these unique citizens. We had that in our previous games, and we feel that it's kind of brings more life to the game when you can actually like see things happening and they are simulated.
Look, they're playing basketball there in the corner.
In the park?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there.
Yeah, there's a basketball court and then there's a playground.
Yeah, it's great to see the little the life in the city.
Yeah.
Do people have any preferences about what transportation? Like a rich person, will they still take the bus?
I mean, what we have options. We have buses and underground. So those are the inner city options. So they will basically choose a little bit depending on the route. The price doesn't really matter in this one. So.
Okay. Right,
it's
unlike the
service.
previous titles of Cities
Yeah.
in Motion, which is mostly about figuring out all the individual prices.
Absolutely.
And,
The public transportation has been very much streamlined because it's just one part of the entire experience. So there's so many things you can do, so many services. So we don't want to go into too much micromanagement.
how do you set up a, say, a bus route, for example? Is that something that you have to map out where the stops go?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's relatively simple compared to our previous titles. So you have a bus depot, which actually we already might have somewhere.
Say these green lines are the existing routes?
Yeah, so green lines, these are the metro lines.
Okay.
And then let's just, over there, for example, we have actually a bus depot already. So over here you can see, because we don't want to place too many bus depots because it kind of doesn't make sense to have too many of them. Setting up the route, pretty much choosing where the stops go. So it's very easy to set this up.
Oh, you can see the path right away.
Yeah, exactly. And this is, you want to kind of check optimal routes. This might not now be the absolutely best little square route, but the buses will go there from the depot. So it really just is a simplified version of what we had before.
Can multiple routes share the same bus depot or bus stop?
Yes,
Okay.
yes they can. So
if you clicked on an existing one, it would have just added that one. instead
yeah,
of putting
I
them
mean,
down.
yeah, exactly. So you can, for example, connect to these. So
there we
of
go.
course now it's on the wrong side of the road, so this is not the best, planning. But it really is kind of the
You made them sad because you removed the incomplete routes.
yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
And I realize it's not a transportation management game.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can tweak or tune for the actual routes in terms of frequency, bus size, or is it just a factor of the budget?
Yeah, exactly. With the budgeting, I mean, you increase the service by adding more or increasing the budget, so you add more vehicles to the routes,
So
and
that
it will
shares more.
distribute it. Yeah, we just really wanted to make it so that it's not too much into the micromanagement. That's kind of the goal, to keep it like well in balance with the other services. We do have other options as well. We have trains and airplanes as well as ships. And for the trains and the ships, we have cargo and passenger routes. So.
Those would be where tourists might come in?
Yeah, exactly.
Can tourists also drive into your city?
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
those will come in with the vehicle, but everyone else will rely on your public transportation, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. So there are outside connections, for example. It's you can just check kind of like what kind of import, export, and the tourism you have in the city.
Now, the import and export, are those some of the actual resources that your industry might need? Is it a specific good?
Exactly. I mean, industries create traffic because they they need raw materials, and they also produce goods, which then go to the commercial centers or commercial buildings. So,
can you build a city without any industry at all? And will commercial buildings
You'll
import their own
everything
goods?
then.
yeah,
right?
exactly. You will have to then import absolutely everything, but you have to always remember that the industry is also a job.
Of course, yeah.
For the citizens, so they do appreciate that they have actually means of income. But what we have is two options. We have like heavy industry, and then we have offices. So you can have this kind of like clean jobs, for the higher educated
So
people.
offices count as a type of industry, like a primary employment.
Yeah, exactly.
Are people employed by commercial buildings as well?
No, that's for them to shop at. Basically, it is so that there's all the zones kind of have one purpose. We don't have mixed zoning, at least not yet. So just to make the balance work better.
Do offices require or produce any resources, or they're just a place for people to go work?
They are basically people to go to work. But and if you want to kind of have a very, very big city and there's a lot of traffic, you might want to check like, can you actually move to offices and ways to kind of decreasing the heavy traffic.
I know that in this game, people live in their same house. They return to the same home at the end of the day. What about their job? How often do they change jobs if you put down some new businesses or
well,
like that?
basically, unless the business goes bankrupt or for some reason it is destroyed or abandoned, then they find a new job, but otherwise they're very loyal workers. So it's like
Which is realistic, I guess. Just because a new office opens right next to your house, you're not necessarily going to change jobs.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they will get to their old jobs.
Okay.
Yeah, as well as, but they can move houses if they, for example, they get a bigger family, or if you think about individual individual citizen, they might actually find better spots to live in the city.
Will is there anything that can change, say, their wealth value, that they might prefer living in a fancier house rather than wherever they might be living currently?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but how it actually works is so that the houses get upgraded.
Okay.
So you start from the level one house, and then they, if you manage to increase the land value to a good number, they start to evolve the houses. So you can think about it like them doing like home improvement.
Right.
There.
So the houses will improve as the region's land value will increase, not as much. It's not them getting a promotion. There's not the simulation of what kind of job they're doing. So it's about beautifying the area will lead to better houses.
Yeah, exactly. And also the conditioning of the services,
right.
That is a big factor. The happiness of the people. Just like generally, there are multiple conditions that actually affect the land value, and it is also these are like rather complex systems, so that they would kind of cater to kind of different scenarios, so that you could actually build different types of cities and still get a good result, or the result you aim for.
Okay. Can I ask about like the different types of industry? So outside of offices, what are the industries that you can do? So
basically, those are related to the districts. So you actually have forestry, agriculture, oil and ore. Of course, all of these have positive and negative effects. Okay. For example, if you think about just like, for example, the heavier oil and ore, it's obvious that they will pollute the area. So that is, of course, something you have to kind of figure out where to place them. But on the other hand, they pay taxes pretty damn well, so it's
speaking of pollution, there's more than one type of pollution in this game, isn't there?
Yeah.
Isn't there sound pollution?
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think I've ever seen before in a game.
Yeah, it's you can also prevent it. So certain buildings cause noise pollution as well as big roads. So in these areas, it is something that you kind of have to think like how to. Where to place certain things. For example, maybe you don't put like something which is extremely noisy next to a suburban area or residential houses.
Are different things affected by noise pollution more or less than others? Like, is it only residential that's bothered by noise pollution, or does commerce is it affected?
That is something we're still kind of balancing, like how it should be. But basically, industry is the least kind of worried about it. So that is something that we're still looking into. You can set up sound barriers, place trees, or you have like highway roads with sound barriers. Decorative roads where you have actually trees planted there, those prevent the noise pollution. So you can really just have like quite nice neighborhoods.
Right, so anyone who's ever driven through most cities on a highway will usually see those big walls that are set up to just block the sound.
Yeah, absolutely. That is.
You can actually find them in the roundabout in the middle of the city. I think there are some major sound barriers going on there.
Sorry.
I think it's in the lower down in the big roundabout where we were talking about before. There's
the big interchange right there.
Yeah,
this one?
if I remember. Or maybe it's by the park. There's one interchange that has a lot of sound barriers.
Yeah. I mean, you can see immediately, like if you compare the amount of noise coming out of that one, it's very much less than in the normal one. So it does affect, and the trees definitely kind of make it quieter as well.
And then what's the other type of pollution?
So there's ground pollution and water pollution. So these are the options that kind of you have to think about. So for the if you think about heavy industries, these are the things that cause ground pollution. Some of the power plants. So people definitely don't want to like live near these areas, and there's not really that much you can do to prevent it more than just plan where you place it or then use something else. But for the water pollution, because there is a water simulation that you basically collect fresh water to the city, and then the poop water has to go somewhere.
The poop must flow, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So water treatment plants decrease the amount of the polluted water that is sent back to the rivers. And it's very important that when you check the water system or like where the rivers are, that you follow kind of where do these arrows point so that you see where the river is actually flowing, so you don't have the drain pipe upstream.
Right.
Your citizens might really need some serious health care after that. So, but it's choices, you know.
So if you were to do that, it would bring down just the city's health level? Would
Absolutely.
it stir? Do you have any sort of disease modeling that can spread around, or is it just generically lower health levels?
Yeah, actually it is so that for the health, it has a couple of factors that affect, like people age, of course, is something that they just at some point start to get more sick. So when your kind of city grows and there is the senior citizens, you want to at that point, at the very latest, start taking care of having a good healthcare system.
Do people retire at a certain age?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that age was. I think it was 60, but I'm.
So at that point, they still live in your city, but they
Yeah.
no longer provide. They're not an employee, so you're going to have to bring in more people to keep the workforce fresh.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of growing the city at that
The
point.
workforce fresh. I like that.
Yeah, I'm very, very sort of ruthless.
Yeah,
If you can't work, then you're not really that useful for me. We're going to ship you off to
You
the
can
Badlands.
still tax the residential, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, there's
Tax them
like
to leave the city. My first city is going to be a hellscape. I can tell already.
Is there an elderly tax? Could you do that? Like everyone above 60, you give 200% tax.
Why would you want to do that? You're a horrible person. You're a horrible
If you
person.
just give a really good reason. They're okay, but they're subpar people compared to the others.
I mean, if you're not contributing anymore.
Well, I mean, if you think about like areas where there's a lot of elderly, you can of course like increase the taxes there in a certain district, for example.
Can you get demographic views so you know sort of the age in different areas, or you have to click on buildings and see the individuals?
Yeah, I mean that's one way, and then if you have districts, it also gives you kind of the age groups.
The whole district.
Yeah,
Actually,
of
I
the
think
entire-
there are several districts places where you can just click on and check, because it's a cool view.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just check, for example. Actually, in here we probably don't have so many people living because it looks like. But let's go to Cypress Square, for example. So over here you can see how many people are living. 1,700 adults and children, teens, young adults, seniors. It's pretty evenly distributed there. So you can also see the amount of households and the amount of workers. So you can kind of estimate like what kind of population do you have in this certain area.
Nice. I like graphs and numbers. Show me as much as you can about that, and I'm really, really happy. And I like that you can see it by district, because that's quite telling, especially as you change land values there, or older districts that have been around since the start of your city, as opposed to the latest one that you just built in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
When people move into your town, I assume they're a mix of different ages. What about education levels, anything like that?
Yeah, so basically, first when you start, it's pretty much like adults who are seeking work. They start to move in. Then they start to start families, and then the kids need education. But you can also, you basically, when the citizens move in, they are at the lowest education level. Okay. So it is beneficial for them also to get educated.
Okay, so especially at the start, that's really important, the fact that you have people who are ready to work right away, because it would be very hard. If you had to set up a school instantly because you got a lot of children, that would make it kind of tough to start.
Yeah, exactly.
How hard is
kind
the
of gradually
start?
coming.
If someone was just sitting down to the game for the very first time, are they gonna find themselves going bankrupt within 30 minutes, or do you have a decent window, enough starting money that you'll afford to sort of learn your way through?
Yeah, it depends also. Like you kind of have to start smartly, in a sense that if you just basically build everything and you haven't actually set up any kind of like zones to get the tax income, you will end up getting bankrupt because there's no income. But just like gradually starting, what we have is that you basically unlock the different city services at different population milestones. So kind of easing into the game.
Right,
and
so it guides you by having a slightly limited selection to just, here's what you need to build first, and then you can build the rest later.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I have to say, on the topic of the graphs and info, you should show them the statistics view also. That's hidden in the main menu with beautiful graphs that go along.
Yeah, I mean that is mostly kind of end game content, in the sense that it is to give you kind of overview of what you have achieved. So you can. That's why it's not actually available anywhere like.
It's not
here.
something you see in gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. And but the city statistics. So this is still something we're working on. But you can actually check like birth rate, city value, city budget, all these different options in the same view or then just individually checking. Yeah, this is to kind of give you a certain idea how, for example, your happiness in the city has evolved.
Can you show me the education level?
Yeah.
So this a number represents what?
So these are the educated
number of educated people.
Yeah, citizen education levels. So basically, how many have been educated at certain time. So
Are there different education levels, or is it just yes or no?
It's three of them, because we have elementary school, high school, and universities. So with different schools, but oh, sorry. The idea there is that when you start up, you first unlock the elementary school, so that's kind of the base level. Anybody can go there, so it's not really titled elementary school only for the very young children, but it is so that after people have gone through all of the 3 schools, they are highly educated, but they can do it like at any age.
What impact do the various education levels provide to tax level or job options, or what happens?
Yeah, so the more educated the people are, they get better jobs, they are happier, and they are then more willing to pay taxes. So it kind of always comes down to the fact that how much taxes can you get out of the citizens or the different zones.
Right, so as you put down more schools, you can keep increasing the prices, the taxes, which I guess you'll need to also pay for the schools.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's all about balancing your city and how, like, what do you want to put there? Because if you think about it, you have very much heavy industry, you necessarily don't have to educate the people. They might be absolutely happy working there, and they might not even complain so much about the horrifying pollution that you have just created in the city.
Again, my first city is going to be awful. It's going to be perfect. I love it. What did I want to ask? Oh, the freight that comes in, you mentioned, that came in on ships.
Yep.
So anything like that, or anything that's produced from an industry, then has to be brought to a commercial building?
Yeah. So it's kind of a supply chain there that is going on underneath. You don't have to actively do anything about it except make sure that your road network is decent. So
right, that actually has to be carried by trucks.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea there is that you really just need to kind of plan where to place certain areas. Mm-hmm. So if you have industrial areas, you have to make sure that there's something close by that can actually like bring the raw materials. If you don't have them immediately, because if you have the resources already in the map, mm-hmm. you can very easily just like get it from there. So it doesn't create so much traffic.
So every area you start on, every map you play on, will have certain natural resources available.
Yeah. Exactly. And you get to choose the map kind of based on what you want to see, what you want to play with. So it's we have 9 different maps available with different kind of resources, different kind of landscapes, different outside connection possibilities. So it just gives you a little bit of different scenarios to start in.
And of course, anyone can make their own maps and share them on the workshop as well. So there's going to be basically unlimited number of maps.
Yeah. Hope so.
All handcrafted.
Yeah, exactly.
So what? Can you give me an example of one of the resource chains? Like if I were to put down, say, a wood industry.
Yeah. Well, basically, if we think about like with the forestry, for example, if you have forest in the city, you have good resource of it. You can check from the info view with the resources that where do you actually or what do you have there. Mm-hmm. So over here, for example, you have really nice amount of forest. You can see the green here. You also have over here fertile land, so you could basically start up like agricultural area there. But this city is so big that we definitely don't want to put any farms in the middle of it. But yeah, starting with the forest, so you basically start like build the industry here. Mm-hmm. They will cut down the forest. They will use the wood to produce goods, and after that, the goods are taken to the commercial areas, to the commercial buildings, and then people go and buy them from there. Okay. Or they're more like it is kind of essential to these certain buildings to have something to do. So if they don't get the goods, then they will be either importing them from elsewhere if you don't provide them, and then it's of course more expensive to the industry or the commercial areas, and then they are not as happy paying taxes.
Right, because they're not making as much of a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
From a gameplay point of view, like when you're making these, how close to your residential areas, for example, do you put your commerce and industry? What do you find might work best? Because obviously you're trying to minimize the distance that people have to travel just so that you don't have that many cars on the road. But then at the other hand, you have to worry about pollution or whatever. Do you put a little commercial shop in the middle of your residential areas, or do you like to keep them separate?
Well, I think it's very, very smart to have not just have like huge areas of certain, but just kind of mix it up a bit. So definitely a little bit of commercial area close to the residentials. They will be happy about it. Not too much, so that there's not so much heavy traffic going there, bringing the goods. Industries I like to put very far away, but just with good connections. So basically a highway there makes sense, because then people get to drive there faster. Maybe even like build a metro line or something to kind of facilitate to the traffic.
Is there a limit to how many residents one commercial building can service? Like if I just put like one tiny little square of commerce in the middle of a big residential area, would everyone be able to shop there, or would they have to go and spread out? It
kind of depends what they kind of are looking for. So they will basically, when they visit different places, they kind of choose based on the kind of the closeness of it. So I'm not exactly sure if we limit the amount that can visit there per se. They should be able to kind of...
Did you say there were different types of commercial buildings?
So we have high and low commercial. So there are like, for example, in the different commercial zones, there are small stores, couple of restaurants. In the high density commercial, these are like department stores, also like entertainment there. So it kind of attracts a little bit different kind of crowd.
Okay, so they don't always pick the closest one. They pick something that they're interested in at that time.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So you always have to have enough zoning so that there's going to be a mix of different buildings to be able to satisfy every need.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that doesn't go so deep that they would really start complaining horribly about it.
It just about a lack of donut shops.
Yeah, exactly. Because it is kind of like random what you get out of there. So the people are going to be happy if there's just enough of the stores that they because we do have the demands here. So for example, over here, you can actually see that there's actually a medium demand for commercial. So they just want more places to shop at.
Right. Do you get more tax money out of commercial than residential?
It depends what kind of taxation policies you have actually set there. I mean, you can go to the budget panel and then just decide on the taxes. Like,
I guess now if there's a demand for a commercial, you could potentially tax the commercial a bit more, which would probably bring the demand down again. Yeah,
I mean, it's for basically this one is that you need to build more of those. Like finding the balance. What do you need to actually have? Building their different kind of zones. I mean, if there's a demand for a residential zone, you actually have to, create those. Or for me, at least, I try to kind of find the balance where kind of there might be a demand for pretty much all of them, but it's kind of even, and that kind of helps me to then balance the budget as well.
So what's the actual downside to having, say, this high commercial demand? Are people unhappy?
It makes them more unhappy because kind of, well, people want options, so of course they want like more shops in the city, but it is mainly to just helping you to build the city. Like what is it that is needed? If they don't have, I mean, for example, if you think about the industries, if you don't have enough residents in the city that they would have enough workers, they actually do abandon the companies. They go bankrupt, and it's like nothing can be done. There are no workers.
And presumably it's the same the other way around. If there's no industry, they'll be unemployed.
Yeah. Exactly.
I am really sorry to interject. We're heading out of time again. I see that you look so hyped. Like I see that you always have a new question, like just waiting to come out of your mouth. You're like on the edge of your seat. It's like okay, I have a new thing, a new follow-up, a new concern. But we are running out of time for this stream, so we have to cut it kind of here. I just have to ask, do you have any final question, like the one big that you've been saving up to?
I've been waiting for. I don't know. I am genuinely very, very excited for this game. And really looking forward to it in general. Man, I don't know. Final question. You put me on the spot there.
Yeah.
I do have a question about this particular map here. How big is this area? Is this with all 9 available spots? Because if I understand it correctly, you can get up to 9 plots of combined land.
I'm totally going to cheat because we can actually go check it here. Because
Matt's saying he thinks it might be 6. Looks like 7.
Yeah, so basically we
So
have
this isn't even the biggest possible size, and
Yeah, I
half
mean,
it's not even developed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
It's a lot of water,
it's quite a big area you can build, and because the map area is bigger than what you actually take with the 9 tiles, you have the option of kind of building the cities in different shapes. It doesn't always have to be the square.
Which is really actually quite cool. You can get something that's really long, and one of the things I'm looking forward to doing is making it look like it's a series of small towns and villages that kind of work together. It's not one really big city, and
Yeah.
using the regions to be able to zone them separately and have different
Yeah.
characteristics, and so really excited about that.
Cool. Yeah,
You seem
happy
to
to show
echo
the
the
game.
sentiments of our community, because that's something I see very often on the forums. People want to do this.
Well, that's it. People play these games for different reasons. Some people look for the challenge. Some people want to try to reach that 1 million population. Everything is super densely packed. And other people want to make a nice, beautiful English village countryside.
Yeah.
And everyone likes something a little bit different. So it's
Yeah.
nice. I've never seen this before, other than Prison Architect has this sort of ability to buy adjacent plots, and adding that to a city game is really smart. Really smart.
Yeah, we
Wonderful.
didn't want to like overwhelm the player by slapping them in the absolutely huge map.
Right,
but
starting
with the
small,
modding,
yeah.
but with the modding, you can basically unlock everything. You get to try, for example, unlimited money. You know, just build the beautiful city you have always dreamed of, and never worry about the financial side.
Yeah.
Because we kind of see different kind of players. We try to give options to them as well, like making their own.
So
own
people will be
cities.
able to go to the workshop and just one click grab the mod to make them be able to build whatever they want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that a lot of modders will also create their own versions of the game. So that's going to be very exciting to see.
They can create their own buildings as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Asset editor is for you to import buildings to the game, and if you don't do like 3D modeling, you can also decorate like parks, and as we discussed, like the intersections, and just like saving those, sharing those on the workshop. And
I suppose you can add more assets to the park creator too, so you can kind of make like street lights and
Yeah,
different
absolutely,
trees. So
absolutely.
you can the modders can also increase that sense.
yeah,
of
if you like want to make a statue of yourself, import it to the game, create a park around it. I'm pretty sure somebody will do it.
I actually think it's already done.
Yeah,
If I'm not misremembering. So I will have to cut it here. It's been lovely listening to you two guys banter. I've been,
Sorry, we didn't let you talk.
No, it's okay. I was like, that was my prime goal, is if things become horribly awkward between you, I'm kind of interjecting, but you're
That
just
could never
rambling
happen
on.
with
And
Cleo,
just
come on.
seriously, you've been on the edge of your chair for the entire duration.
You really have.
I've seen you like move slowly closer at all times, so it's been really enjoyable. For the people watching, we're going to take a break for a longer duration. We're going to be back around 5 with Magica 2. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, you can pre-order City Skylines right now on cityskylines.com, or just go to Steam or Paradox Plus or your retailer of choice and hope it's there. It's everywhere, and it's going to be out March 10th, which is in less than a month. It's crazy because we've been working on this game for quite some time, and you've been working on it for ages.
Exciting times, yeah.
Marina, thank you. Quill, as always, a pleasure. Friends on the stream, we will be kind of right back, roughly 1.5 hours, and then you will see us later. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.